So a new franchise in the NHL has been formed, the Boise Bandits. But like usual, the Boise Bandits, they're not going to be starting with any players, but instead a bunch of zero overalls. Now, although we have a zero overall team, we're slowly going to turn this team right here into a Stanley Cup team. But not only a Stanley Cup team, the greatest team of all time. And how are we going to do that? Well, through the wheel of NHL alumni teams. Now, of course, the first thing we have to do is spin the wheel. When we don't have any players, you need to spin the wheel. And it looks like our first player is going to be coming from the Minnesota North Stars alumni. Now, when it comes to a video like this, regardless of what team we land on, we're always going to be bringing superstars to the team. And the first team we're landing on is going to be the Minnesota North Stars alumni. So who are we looking at? Mike Gardner, 90 overall. Mike Modano, 90 overall. Larry Murphy, 88 overall. There is a ton of amazing players. But out of all these players, who am I going to go with? I think I'm going to start with Mike Modano. 90 overall, Mike Modano is going to be brought to the team. He's going to be an elite player for us, and he's now our new number one center. Now, Mike Modano is going to be the first player brought to the team, and he's going to be an elite player for us. However, I should mention, the goal isn't just to win a Stanley Cup. We have to break the win record as well. We have to break the win record and win a Stanley Cup in the same year. That is the goal for all these alumni players. Considering we're only going to be bringing in superstars, we've got to make the challenge for this video a bit more difficult. However, in reality, in season number 1, the most difficult challenge for the Boise Bandits is going to be getting through the entire season and having this game not freeze or crash on us. So if you don't want this game to either freeze or crash, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, because it's a known fact if you subscribe to the channel, then it won't freeze or crash. Now, it's an absolute miracle. In year number 1, the game's not going to be crashing. We actually made it through the entire season. Unfortunately, we're not going to be scoring any goals this season. We will have one shot taken coming from Rigby. You're telling me 0 overall Rigby's taking a shot, but you're telling me 90 overall Mike Modano isn't going to get a shot on net? That just doesn't seem right. When it comes to goaltending, Ricky Lafleur, 40 losses this season. Eric Cartman, 42 losses. Neither of our goaltenders were elite, but we didn't expect that. When it comes to the postseason, the Minnesota Wild are Stanley Cup champions, taking down the Pittsburgh Penguins. With year number 1 finally complete, let's go add another player. Now, Mike Modano was definitely a great player to start with. However, there is one rule that I haven't mentioned yet, and luckily that rule isn't going to hurt us too much with the San Jose Sharks. Now, the rule that I haven't mentioned yet is we can't select the same position back to back. So with Mike Modano, we selected a centerman. That means when it comes to the San Jose Sharks, we cannot select a centerman here. So let's just say in this hypothetical universe, Teemu Selanne isn't an option for the San Jose Sharks. We would have had to pass up on Joe Thornton because we can't bring back-to-back centermen to the team. Luckily, that's not going to be the case, so we're just going to keep it simple. 92 overall, Teemu Selanne, welcome to the team. You're going to be an elite sniper alongside Mike Modano, and you're definitely going to help us break the win record in about 15 years. Now, Teemu Selanne, you're going to be a great addition to the first line, but it's kind of crazy to think about. In the future, Mike Modano is probably going to be our 3rd or even 4th line centerman. Teemu Selanne, you're probably going to be playing some bottom 6 minutes. That's how elite our team's going to be. It's NHL legend after NHL legend. Basically, every player we're going to be bringing to the team is going to be a superstar. Now, with the help of Teemu Selanne, we're going to be potting a couple goals this season. 8 goals to be exact. We're still not winning any games, but that's to be expected. When you only have 2 NHL legends, are we really surprised we're not winning games? Absolutely not. Teemu Selanne, 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points. Mike Modano, he's picking up 7 assists and 1 goal. But show it to Metabee, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. He was holding it down on the number 1 power play unit. When it comes to goaltending, of course, that's going to be atrocious. And then when it comes to our Stanley Cup champions, that's going to be the New York Rangers taking on the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota's seen a lot of early success in this video, and I definitely wasn't expecting it. So we're 2 NHL legends down, but it's time for us to add another one to the team. We're going to be adding from the St. Louis Blues alumni. We're going to be looking at a ton of great players, but one man stands alone. And luckily, he's not a right winger. Now, we actually got incredibly lucky landing on the San Jose Sharks with our last spin, because with us landing on the San Jose Sharks, we selected a right winger, and that means we can bring a centerman to the team, and that centerman is going to be Wayne Gretzky. Like, imagine if we didn't land on the San Jose Sharks with our last spin, but instead the St. Louis Blues. We would have had to pass up on Wayne Gretzky for Brett Hull. Now, don't get me wrong, Brett Hull, he would be a great addition to the team. He's not Wayne Gretzky, though. I would hate having to pass up on Wayne Gretzky, but luckily we don't have to worry about that. Gretzky's going to be joining the team here, and obviously he's going to be the best player joining the team today. So with the addition of Wayne Gretzky, we finally have a complete forward line. Teemu Selanne, Wayne Gretzky, Mike Modano. I think we're looking at minimum 20 goals this season, maybe potentially 30, because who's going to stop this power play unit? I know they're going to have 2 0 overalls alongside them, but even still, who's going to stop that? Now, would you be surprised if I told you when we added Wayne Gretzky to the team, the offense would start flying? 50 goals this season scored from the Bandits. And I just want to point out, we have 3 actual players on this team, 3 NHL legends, the rest are 0 overalls. Wayne Gretzky, 28 goals, 19 assists, 47 points. Solani, 13 goals, 33 assists, 46 points. And then Mike Modano, 6 goals, 35 assists, 41 points. And then of course we had a handful of guys picking up 1 point, but the fact that these 3 guys together picked up 50 goals for me this season, a little bit ridiculous, I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to goaltending, Ricky Lafleur and Eric Hartman, they're not doing anything special. And then when it comes to our Stanley Cup winner, okay, what is going on with the Minnesota Wild? Apparently they're the new Winnipeg Jets where they just win all the time. Like, Minnesota's made it to 3 straight cup finals and they've won 2 of them so far. I have no clue why they're dominating like they are, but they're looking elite. We're landing on the New York Rangers, and this one's gonna hurt a little bit, but not quite as much as you think. Now, you know what? Things are actually working out quite a bit here, because when it comes to the New York Rangers, who's gonna be the best player on their alumni team? Well, that's gonna be Wayne Gretzky. Unfortunately, we have to pass upon Wayne Gretzky because we drafted a centerman with our last pick, but that centerman that we drafted was Wayne Gretzky. So yeah, we're not really missing out on Wayne Gretzky here. However, we are going to be missing out on Mark Messier. We're not going to be able to bring him to the team. Brian Leetch, I guess we could go with you, but I'm actually not going to go with Brian Leetch here. Instead, we're going to bring a goaltender to the team, and who is that goalie going to be? 90 overall Henrik Lundqvist. The King is going to be joining the team. I think this is an incredible selection. Now, not only is Henrik Lundqvist an incredible goaltender and an amazing addition to the team, but Henrik Lundqvist, you are going to be walking away with a Stanley Cup in this video, and you're one guy that definitely earned one, but just weren't able to win one. Okay, now this season doesn't make any sense, but it also makes a lot of sense at the same time. So the Boise Bandits aren't winning any games. Our goals for dropped a ton. And why is that? Well, we allowed less goals, but we were making more saves because Henrik Lundqvist would have been stopping the puck more. Therefore, we would have been spending more time in the defensive zone. So that's going to lead to less goals scored. I know that's very confusing, but through having an elite goaltender like Henrik Lundqvist, we are spending significantly more time in the defensive zone. Like, look how many shots against Henrik Lundqvist was facing, and look how many saves he was making. I can guarantee you this is more saves than Ricky Lafleur and Eric Hartman had combined. Therefore, we're spending significantly more time in the defensive zone, meaning we're not in the offensive zone, meaning we're not scoring goals. It's as simple as that. The Colorado Avalanche are Stanley Cup champions. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Wild, they're losing in the first. So we're not going to be able to add a goaltender with this next spin, so let's not land on the New Jersey Devils. Thankfully, that's not going to be happening. We're landing on the Nashville Predators, and we're going to be bringing in a great defenseman. Or maybe not a defenseman. We might go with a forward here because there is an elite forward available. Now, with us landing on the Nashville Predators, it's the perfect time for me to go on a little bit of a rant. I want EA to get rid of the alumni teams and make all-time teams instead. Because realistically, Peter Forsberg, why are you on the alumni team? You played 17 games with the Nashville Predators. That's it. You played 17 games with this franchise. I feel like you shouldn't be on their alumni team. And this kind of applies to Wayne Gretzky as well. He didn't play that many games with the St. Louis Blues. So I feel like we should go with all-time teams and give a bit more respect to guys who spent a majority of their career with that franchise. Like Peter Forsberg, technically he is one of the best Nashville Predators of all time if you're talking about his peak form. However, he played 17 games with the team. Like Wayne Gretzky, he's the greatest player to ever play for the St. Louis Blues, but nobody's going to call Wayne Gretzky the greatest Blue of all time because he wasn't there that long. So yeah, basically just make all-time teams and give a little bit more respect to guys who spend a long time with the franchise. Because yeah, Peter Forsberg as the highest overall for the Nashville Predators alumni, that just doesn't seem right. Now, with the addition of Peter Forsberg, Wayne Gretzky, Teemu Selanne, and Forsberg are going to be our top line. This is a superstar first line. Probably the greatest first line you have ever seen. However, the only issue that we have right now, we don't have any defensemen, so we should probably focus on that. We should give that first line a couple of defensemen to play alongside. Now, you remember how I said we should probably bring a defenseman to the team? Who needs a defenseman? A 2-80 record this season. We won 2 games. We scored 64 goals as well. I don't care about the stats. I don't even care about the goalie numbers from Henrik Lundqvist. I just want to see who we beat. We know for a fact it's probably the St. Louis Blues. The Detroit Red Wings are Stanley Cup champions, but let's just go see if it actually was St. Louis. Like, I feel like there's a very good chance that it was the St. Louis Blues, and if it is the St. Louis Blues, I'm not going to be overly surprised, but we're going to be taking down the Boston Bruins in a shootout. It was a 3-2 victory for the Bandits, and then when it comes to our other win, who's that coming against? Well, it looks like it's going to be coming against the Calgary Flames. They were only able to score 1 goal on our team. Nah, y'all are frauds. You could really only score 1 goal against Henrik Lundqvist and 4 other legends. Everyone else on the team is a 0 overall. you could only score 1 goal. Nah, y'all are cooked. Nah, like real talk, that's just embarrassing. Only scoring 1 goal against our team, me personally, I wouldn't let that happen. The Tampa Bay Lightning are going to be the next alumni we're selecting from. And as I mentioned earlier, let's go with a defenseman. We could use one here. Okay, so you know how I just said we're going with a defenseman? I might have slightly lied because Martin St. Louis is very interesting here. He'd be a good playmaker, but he's also a right winger, which we could use on this team. When it comes to a defenseman, we'd be looking at Dan Boyle. And you know what? I'm not against Dan Boyle because at the end of the day, in the future, he's going to be playing third pairing minutes for me. And I think we can win a Stanley Cup and break the win record if we have a third pairing defenseman as an 88 overall. So maybe we go with Dan Boyle. I would like Martin St. Louis, but I think we can find some other 90 overall playmakers. Dan Boyle, welcome to the team. I don't know if this is the right decision, but that's who we're going with. Also, when it comes to defensemen, I'm classifying Dan Boyle as a right defenseman. I know it says a right and left defenseman, but for the sake of this video, he is a right defenseman because that's his primary position. So when it comes to our next spin, if I do want to bring a defenseman to the team, it has to be a primary left defenseman. So Dan Boyle, welcome to the Boise Bandits. You're going to be a great pickup for us, an 80 overall. You're going to help the defensive core a ton here because you're the only player here who's not a 0 overall. So yeah, there's no way you make us any worse. Now Dan Boyle, maybe you weren't the right pickup. A 179-2 record this season. We didn't score a goal per game. Maybe you weren't the answer for this team. Granted, our offense was better, and you did pick up 4 goals and 3 assists for 7 points, but even still, that's just not good enough here. I brought you here to be an offensive defenseman, and you did not produce offensively, nor were you that great defensively. Then again, you had a 0 overall as your partner. So what can I really expect from you? The Buffalo Sabres are winning the Stanley Cup. That's enough nonsense for today. So let's just completely forget that happened. Let's spin the wheel again. It looks like the next team we're landing on is going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. For how many Stanley Cups Toronto has won in the past, there's got to be at least one elite player we can add. Now, a lot of those Stanley Cups that Toronto won were a long time ago. However, when they were winning those Stanley Cups, they had some decent players. Johnny Bower being one of them. Now, I'm actually passing up on 92 overall Johnny Bower because I know for a fact that there's going to be better options. Like I'm talking about Patrick Waugh, Marty Brodeur. Those are the guys I want to be our starter moving forward. Henrik Lundqvist, you're going to be an elite backup, but there's just a handful of guys that are higher overall than you. So I think we go with Matt Sundin here. Then again, Mahovlich actually would be a really good pickup because we don't really have any true left defenseman on the team yet. So maybe that's who we go with. We pass up on Matt Sundin in order to bring Frank Mahovlich to the team. They're the exact same overall, but one's a left winger and we could use a left winger, so that's what we're going to do. Also, I just want to point out he has low elite potential. So yeah, a lot of low elite potential players in this game. So Frank Mahovlich, I'm going to have you on the top line alongside Wayne Gretzky and Teemu Solani. Pierre Forsberg, you're moving down to the second line. You're going to be playing alongside Mike McDonald. So that's going to give us 2 pretty solid forward lines if you ignore this 0 overall right here. Okay, hold on. We got to talk about something this season. I don't really care about the Boise Bandits record. We were over a goal per game. That's cool. All that's real nice. Hold on now. How on earth did the St. Louis Blues finish 3rd in the entire league? I know how this team performs in NHL 26. They don't perform well. This team gets let down time and time again. And you're telling me they're going to be 3rd in the entire league. But on top of being 3rd in the entire league, who is the Stanley Cup winner during the 2025-2026 season? Well, that's going to be the St. Louis Blues going 16-2. I am fully convinced that the simulation is 1000% random every season. Like regardless if you're an elite team or a terrible team, it just says there is a 1 in 32 chance of you winning the Stanley Cup. It's coded into the file. If you happen to land on a file that has the St. Louis Blues going 16-2 in the postseason, then yeah, you're gonna win the Stanley Cup. Like I just need to know what this team did. So Robert Thomas, 9 points, 20 assists for 29 points. Dylan Holloway, 24 points. All of that is cool. What were the goaltending numbers from Benner? He had a 916, a 265. So these numbers aren't even crazy. All right, I got nothing to say. Let's just move on. Like I'm sorry, but every time I rebuild the St. Louis Blues, I have to wait until we add Quinn Hughes to the team. And if I don't add Quinn Hughes, we're not going to see any success. But you're telling me the 2025-2026 St. Louis Blues going 16-2 in the postseason? All right, I'm not really too sure how I should feel about that. The Winnipeg Jets are the next alumni team we're selecting from. We might just have to go with a defenseman regardless of who's the best player. So the Winnipeg Jets alumni is definitely going to have some decent players for us to select. Dale Hawerchuk Galchenyuk is obviously the number one guy to 92 overall, but I think we're going to pass up on him. Savard is going to be available as a 92 overall defensive defenseman. He is definitely a guy we need here. He's going to be our new number one defenseman. Yeah, I just can't turn down a 92 overall defenseman when we only have one defenseman currently. So our top defensive unit is now going to be Serge Savard and Dan Boyle. These are two guys that we can definitely rely on. An 88 overall and 92 overall. I'm going to be honest, I think Dan Boyle is going to be the lowest overall in this team, but an 88 overall is still a really good defenseman. But considering everyone else here, yeah, an 88 overall is likely going to be the lowest. Now with every new player we add to the team moving forward, that's just going to be another couple wins. So we have a 6-74-2 record, and also with every player we add moving forward, that's going to equal more goals. So we're picking up 129 goals this season, and we're going to be looking at our first point a game player. That's going to be Wayne Gretzky, 48 goals and 42 helpers for 90 points. Considering how many 0 overalls are on the ice when Wayne Gretzky is out there, these numbers are incredibly impressive. But hold on, we actually had multiple point a game players, because Teemu Solani is also going to be a point a game. I can't be missing him. When it comes to our goaltenders, Henrik Lundqvist, of course, he's picking up all 6 wins this season. And then when it comes to our Stanley Cup champ, that's going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're going to be taking down the Nashville Predators. Just want to point out who made to the conference finals, the Chicago Blackhawks. So you can't tell me that the postseason isn't just 100% random. Like, I'm not saying the Chicago Blackhawks are going to be the worst team in the entire league this season, but let's not act like that team's making the conference finals. Like, there's like a 0.001% chance that happens. Also, we're selecting from the Florida Panthers alumni. I think we all know who I'm bringing to the team. So we're going to be adding one of the best NHL players of all time from the Florida Panthers alumni, Jaromir Jagr. Well, is he not on this team? Is Jaromir Jagr not an alumni player anymore? Is he on the Pittsburgh Penguins? Hold on. I just need to double check this. Jaromir Jagr is available. So you're telling me after 18 games, Peter Forsberg is on the Nashville Predators alumni, but you're telling me after playing 181 games with the Florida Panthers, Jaromir Jagr isn't on their alumni team? That makes absolutely no sense to me, but we're not going to question it. Joe Nowendick, maybe we go with you instead. I think that's probably the best case available here. I mean, Jay Bouwmeester definitely isn't a bad defenseman here. However, I don't want to bring in an 87 overall D-man. We already have a defenseman below a 90 overall. I don't want to bring in multiple defensemen below a 90 overall. So I guess we'll go with Joe Nowendick, 89 overall. Yeah, I guess we'll see how that works for us. Okay, like, how does this make any sense? Peter Forsberg is on the Nashville Predators alumni team after playing 18 games. Meanwhile, Jaromir Jagr, after playing 181 with Florida, isn't on their alumni team. Like, that makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah. What are we doing here? So with another new player added to the team, of course, that's leading to more wins. 10 wins this season. We were only 16 wins back of the New Jersey Devils. Just want to point out they won 26 games. They're currently 8-1 to start the regular season, so it's good to see that is very realistic. When it comes to our scoring, we're not going to have a single point a game player, which is very surprising. Wayne Gretzky, 42 goals and 37 assists for 79 points. Yeah, that just makes absolutely no sense. And then our Stanley Cup champs, the Vancouver Canucks. We have definitely seen some very interesting Stanley Cup winners so far in this video. So with that being said, let's go ahead and spin the wheel once again and then find out who's going to be winning the Stanley Cup next season. We might even see the Chicago Blackhawks win, who knows. The Quebec Nordiques are the next alumni team we're landing on. Quebec's going to have a ton of great players to select from. However, I think we're going to be missing out on a couple of the greats. Now we have to remember with our last selection, we brought Joe Nowendick to the team, so that means we're not going to be able to bring a centerman. So who's going to be joining us from the Quebec Nordiques? Well, we're about to find out. Joe Sakic, unfortunately, you can't join the team. Peter Forsberg, we already have you here. Matt Sundin, Paul Stastny, we can't go with either of you guys as well. Why'd I call him Paul Stastny? It's Peter Stastny. I'm bugging, but that's neither here nor there. Adam Foote's going to be the player we're bringing in. He's going to be an 88 overall. So that means we're going to have multiple defensemen on this team below a 90 overall. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Like, we're going to have like an 88 and an 89 overall as our third pairing. We can definitely work with that. But yeah, I definitely would have liked Joe Sakic. He would have been a great pickup. Also, I still haven't figured out why I called him Paul Stastny. I mean, I know why I called him Paul Stastny, but yeah. Shout out to Peter Stastny. Didn't mean to disrespect you like that. Also, I was bugging for some reason. I thought Dan Boyle was actually an 89 overall. He's an 88 overall. So we have two 88s here, non-88 and 89, but that's neither here nor there. It doesn't really change too much. This is what the defense is looking like right now. I wouldn't mind if we brought Bobby Orr to the team. I think he'd be an incredible addition. Now, moving forward, it's 90 overalls and above. We can't be bringing any more 88 overall players to the team. An 11-69-2 record. I don't really care too much about that. We're over 2 goals goals per game, that's incredible, but we need only 90 overall players moving forward. Like, not only are we trying to win the Stanley Cup, we have to break the win record, and I don't think we can do that if we're bringing a bunch of low overalls to the team. Granted, I'm calling 88 overalls low overalls. Those would be key players on any Stanley Cup winning team that isn't ours because of how many legends we have on this team. Like, an 88 overall player very well could lead postseason scoring. The Buffalo Sabres just swept the Winnipeg Jets. This is exactly what I mean by the postseason just being completely random. They went 16-3 in the playoffs. The Buffalo Sabres in 2025. Yeah, so that's just not happening. Like, Buffalo winning the Stanley Cup is one thing, but 16-3, can we make this a bit more reasonable? Can we actually bring Bobby Orr? We might not be able to. Oh no, we might be in a bit of trouble. Now, before we even take a look at Bobby Orr, we have to take a quick look at Adam Foote. Now, Adam Foote's primary position is right defense. So that means that Bobby Orr is a right defenseman. We can't bring him to the team. And you know what? I feel like that's the case when it comes to Bobby Orr. Where is he? Is Bobby Orr not in the game? Hold on. Are you telling me Bobby Orr was in NHL 25 and then got removed in NHL 26? Did they really bring in Bobby Orr for one game? Maybe I'm completely bugging. I am 99.9% positive Bobby Orr was in NHL 26. Maybe I'm having a fever dream. I might be tripping. We're going to go with Ray Bourque instead. But hold on now. I swear Bobby Orr was an option. Maybe I'm completely losing my mind. I am positive he was in NHL 25. Yeah, so I went back to NHL 25 just to double check, and I'm not tripping. Bobby Orr is in NHL 25, but he was removed in NHL 26. Why on earth was that a thing? Why on earth did you add Bobby Orr into NHL 25 and then remove him for NHL 26? Like, that was literally the most pointless addition in NHL 25 if you're removing him in NHL 26. 1 year passed and he's already removed. Alright then. Now, we went to the store and I expect us to be walking away with Bobby Orr. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. We're getting Ray Bourque instead. But let's not act like Ray Bourque is a bad player whatsoever. He's a 93 overall. He's the new top defenseman on this team. But yeah, why on earth is Bobby Orr not in NHL 26 when he's in NHL 25? It makes no sense. Now, I made the claim not that long ago, with every new player we brought to the team, we're going to be even better and we're going to be winning more games. That is a lie. We only won 9 games this season after bringing Ray Bourque to the team. Wayne Gretzky had 106 points, including 56 goals. He even had a positive plus minus. We only won 9 games this season. When it comes to goaltending, Henrik Lundqvist, 9 wins, 1 shutout, a 907 and a 416. That's just not good enough. 9 wins is certainly not good enough for this team. The Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions, taking down the LA Kings. Clearly, we're going to need a lot more if we want to be in the Stanley Cup hunt. So with that being said, we have to improve this team. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel. And it looks like we're going to be landing on the Vancouver Canucks next. So I guess that means we're going to be walking away with one of the Sedin brothers. Now, I haven't decided. Do we go with Daniel or do we go with Henrik Sedin? I mean, both of them are great options. I don't want to go with Roberto Luongo because I'm kind of holding out for Patrick Waugh or even Martin Brodeur. So Henrik Sedin or Daniel Sedin, which do we want to go with? I think we're going to go with Daniel Sedin. He is the sniper out of the two. We could use another left winger on the team, so I feel like he just makes the most sense. So Daniel Sedin, I'm going to have you join the top line alongside Wayne Gretzky and Teemu Selanne. That's just going to give us a bit more goal scoring. Mahovlich, you're moving down to the second line, but I mean, you're still with a bunch of great players. Like, you really went from playing with Wayne Gretzky and Teemu Selanne to now playing with Peter Forsberg and Mike Modano. I think you're still in a pretty good spot. Now, Daniel Sedin, you were definitely a difference maker with this team. The Boise Bandits were still dead last in the entire league, but 20 wins this season, 2.37 goals per game. Things are looking up for us. Wayne Gretzky only had 83 points this season. He was minus 35, so I guess that is a little bit of a cause for concern. But you know what? We still have a lot of 0 overalls in this team. There's no way Wayne Gretzky's going to win us the Stanley Cup with all those 0 overalls. Granted, Henrik Lundqvist, 20 wins, 1 shutout, a 913, a 362. I was not expecting numbers like this from you. Maybe it's about time we bring in a backup goaltender. Like, this is the first season in a long time where you haven't played every game, or at least I think it is. Maybe you played 81 games last season. I'm not 100% sure, but 90% of the time you're playing like every game. I think it's about time you get a backup. Like, we shouldn't have Henrik Lundqvist playing every game. He needs a bit of help, but I'm not sure if that help's going to be coming from the Anaheim Ducks or not. Because as much as I want to bring in a goaltender, I think there are better options. Now, when it comes to the Anaheim Ducks alumni, we're going to be looking at Scott Niedermayer, Teemu Selanne, Chris Pronger. There's a lot of great options. Jari Kurri, we can't pass over him, but I think we're going to go with Scott Niedermayer. He's a 93 overall. He'd be an elite defenseman for us. With the addition of Niedermayer, we're almost completing our defensive core. We're going to have 5 of 6 defensemen. I don't think we can really pass up on Scott Niedermayer. Like, realistically, how many more defensemen out there are higher than a 93 overall? There's not not really that many. So when we have an option to bring one to the team, I think we got to take it. So as I mentioned, we're one defenseman away from completing our defensive core. Ideally, we can bring like another 92 overall player to the team. That means we're going to have two 88s manning our third pairing, and then 92 overalls and above when it comes to the rest of the defense. And that would definitely be enough for us to break the win record. Now, this is actually probably the most interesting season we've seen from the Boise Bandits, because although we're last in the entire league, we only won 19 games this season. But winning 19 games is really strange when your top goal scorer scores 70 goals. Yeah, Gretzky had 70 goals, 49 assists for 119 points. That was only good enough for 19 wins this season. That's a little bit surprising. I really thought Scott Niedermayer was going to be a massive difference maker for this team. I guess not. But at the end of the day, there are still a lot of 0 overall players here. So maybe I'm gassing this team up a little bit too much. Although we have a lot of superstars and a ton of legends on this team, there are still quite a few 0 overalls. Like, we have a 0 overall fourth line, a 0 overall backup goaltender, a 0 overall on the defense still. There's a lot of problems that this team needs to address. But how about we address one of those problems right now by spinning this wheel right here? We're going to be landing on the Chicago Blackhawks, and I think it's about time we bring in another goalie. So when it comes to the Blackhawks alumni, we're looking at bringing another goaltender to the team, or at least that's the plan. Because Glenn Hall is a 93 overall. I think he can be an incredible goaltender. He can be the number one on this team, and then Henrik Lundqvist can back him up. I think this makes the most sense for our franchise. So Glenn Hall and Henrik Lundqvist, you're going to be our goaltending tandem moving forward. So we got an upgrade in between the pipes in Glenn Hall. Henrik Lundqvist is going to be moving to the backup role. These are two incredible goaltenders that we can definitely win with. I don't really have too many concerns for this team moving forward. As long as we continue to bring in legends like this, we're going to be looking perfectly fine. Alright, so I knew we needed a new goaltender for a while. Like, we couldn't run a 0 overall as one of our goalies. But I didn't think when we added Glenn Hall to this team, we would immediately win 32 games. We were 2 points back at Utah, and the only reason we were behind Utah in the standings is they lost 16 games in OT. Either overtime or a shootout, they lost 16 games. Without those 16 losses, they wouldn't be ahead of us. And we have to remember, there are still a lot of 0 overalls on this team, so maybe we're only about 1 or 2 legends away from actually making the postseason here. Glenn Hall and Henrik Lundqvist were both incredible this season. The fact that we were almost not dead last in the entire league with this many 0 overalls is honestly impressive. The Winnipeg Jets are Stanley Cup champions. Let's go ahead and add another legend, then hopefully we can be a fringe wildcard team next season. In reality though, I think being a fringe wildcard team is asking for a little bit too much, but we're landing on the Dallas Stars alumni, so it actually might be possible. Now, the Dallas Stars alumni is definitely going to have some great players that we can bring to the team. Now, who are these players? Brett Hull, Ed Belfour, but we don't need him. Mike Modano, Joe Nowindic, we already have them on the team, so I think we just keep things simple. Brett Hull, welcome to the team. You're a 92 overall. Yeah, you're the highest overall available. You're the best player available, so let's just keep this simple. Now, with the addition of Brett Hull, we're only left with 5 0 overall players, but how much are these 0 overalls going to hold us back? We have 1 on the defensive core, 4 on the forward core. We're 1 forward away from completing our top 9. I think as long as we have a top 9 here, we're going to have a chance at a Stanley Cup. So this season, let's just try to keep things competitive. So I was talking about us being potentially a fringe wildcard team this season. We were actually worse. I have no clue how that works. Like, I don't understand how we got worse after adding Brett Hull to the team. He had 83 points. Gretzky had 93 points. Yeah, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Was our goaltending atrocious? Glenn Hall wasn't that great. Henrik Lundqvist wasn't a superstar. So I guess goaltending took a massive step back this season. There's really no reason that should have happened. The Tampa Bay Lightning are going to defeat the Calgary Flames to win the Stanley Cup. Seeing Calgary in the Stanley Cup final is very confusing. It's basically just as confusing as seeing the St. Louis Blues in the playoffs, because based on the way this season's going, Gavin McKenna is going to be looking real good in a Blues jersey. No, like in the past 4 games, the St. Louis Blues have allowed 24 goals. Can your team do that? I don't think so. We're 1 of 1 right now. Also, we're getting somebody from the Ottawa Senators alumni. But yeah, 24 goals in the past 4 games. That is something. Now, when it comes to the Ottawa Senators alumni, there is one specific player I'm looking at bringing to the team, but I have no clue if he's actually going to be on the Ottawa Senators alumni. So we're going to check with them, and yes, he is here. Zdeno Chara, welcome to the team. You were the guy I was looking at bringing in. The only reason I wasn't 100% sure is I think you were added in NHL 25 as an alumni player, and if they didn't have Bob Orr, I wasn't 100% sure if they were going to have you. Because yeah, Bob Orr, why are you not in the game? Like, that actually makes zero sense to me. Like, are you telling me that EA got Bobby Orr's rights for NHL 25 and then didn't get them for NHL 26. They said 1 year is enough. Goodbye, Bobby Orr. Like, that makes no sense. So we have ourselves a completed defense. Ray Bourque, Scott Niedermayer, Serge Savard, Zdeno Chara, Adam Foote, Dan Boyle. This is definitely a defense that can break the win record. Now all we have to do is give them a couple more elite forwards and we're going to be looking like the greatest team of all time. Okay, in reality, I thought at this point we would be making the postseason. We have a goaltending tandem. We have a completed defense. We only have 4-0 overall forwards, but we're still outside the postseason. We basically have all 90 overalls here except for like 3 players. Everyone in this team is a legend in their own right. All of these players are superstars in their own right. And yet we're still missing the postseason because of 4-0 overall players. The Dallas Stars are Stanley Cup champions, but this is starting to get a little bit ridiculous. Like, I'm not expecting us to be first in the entire league with 0 overalls on the team, but I am expecting this team to be making the playoffs. The Carolina Hurricanes alumni is going to be the next one we're going to select from, and Rod Brind'Amour, there's a 90% chance you're the guy we're going with. Now, the plan is for us to go with Rod Brind'Amour, but there is a very good likelihood that I'm completely forgetting about a player. We can't go with Paul Coffey because we already have a completed defense. Ron Francis, we're going to go with you instead. You are 5 overalls higher than Rod Brind'Amour. You're going to be a great addition to the team. Yeah, let's keep this simple. We're going with the highest overall player, Ron Francis. Welcome. So Ron Francis was brought in to complete our top 9. So we're looking at 189 overall, and then everyone else is a 90 overall and above. This is a good enough forward core to get us into the postseason. I know we have 0 overalls on the 4th line, but that doesn't matter. Look at all the elite talent here. You're telling me this team doesn't make the postseason? Yeah, it's not happening. We're looking at top 3 in the entire league. So with the addition of Ron Francis, the Boise Bandits finally figured it out. A 54-24-4 record. Now keep in mind, we're 11 wins off of breaking the record, but we still have 3-0 overalls on this team. So once we remove those players, there's a very good shot that we'll be able to do it. Wayne Gretzky, 115 points. Brett Hull, 108 points. Ray Bourque, 78 points this season. And then when it comes to goaltending, Glenn Hall was amazing. 38 wins, 1 shutout, a 914-285. And then when it comes to Henrik Lundqvist, I would like some slightly better numbers, but I'll take what you gave me. So we're the best team in the entire league. We're taking on the Vancouver Canucks in round number 1. But truthfully, this postseason doesn't really mean too much because we didn't break the win record, so we don't really care what happens. So what I'm going to do is just simulate through the entire postseason because it doesn't matter what happens here. If we win a Stanley Cup, that's great, but that's not the main goal. We have to break the win record and win the Stanley Cup in the same season. We're going to take down the Vancouver Canucks in round number 1, so we're moving on to round 2. We're going to see the LA Kings, so right now things are looking great. As long as we don't choke away a 3-1 series lead, which we almost did, we're moving on to the conference finals. The Chicago Blackhawks are the next team up. We smoked Chicago, and now we're in the Stanley Cup final. There is no way we're winning a Stanley Cup in our first postseason appearance. Okay, yes, we are. The Boise Bandits, Stanley Cup champions. Although we just won the Stanley Cup here, it doesn't mean anything. We have to break the win record, and we have to win the Stanley Cup in the same season. But considering we're winning a Stanley Cup with this team right here, and the team is only getting better moving forward, this is a fantastic sign. Glenn Hall, your numbers were amazing, but wait until I give you a few more pieces. So we're winning Stanley Cups early in the video. That's a great sign, but the job is not done yet. The Pittsburgh Penguins are the next team we're landing on. Mario Lemieux, welcome to the team. You're really the only guy I'm considering here. I mean, there is Jaromir Jagr, but I'm pretty sure you're the clear number 1. I could be completely wrong, though, so we should double check that. Now, when it comes to this next selection, I completely overlooked something. We just brought Ron Francis to the team with our last selection, and Ron Francis is a centerman. Therefore, we can't bring Mario Lemieux to the team. Instead, we're going with Jaromir Jagr, a 94 overall. I mean, let's not act like this is a bad selection. We're taking a 94 overall over a 96 overall. At the end of the day, we're bringing in one of the best. So, of course, we're going to be the Stanley Cup favorite this season. There's no question about that. The real question is, can this team somehow break the win record? Also, I hate how they keep moving Zdeno Chara down to the 3rd pairing. Just have Adam Foote play on the 3rd pairing. His secondary position is literally left defense. Just have him play there. Have Zdeno Chara play on the 2nd pairing. He is 3 overalls higher. This just makes significantly more sense. Yeah, so that happened. 4th in the entire league, a 49-28-5 record. How did we get worse? We added Jaromir Jagr to the team and we got worse. What about that makes any sense here? So we're just going to pretend that this season didn't happen at all. Nope, this season did not happen. Our defense was terrible. None of this happened. Nope, we did not perform like this. We're taking on the LA Kings in the 1st round. Let's get the postseason over with quick. Like, I'm sorry, we did not just add Jaromir Jagr to the team and then lose what, like 5 additional games this season? That doesn't make any sense. We are getting blown out so far. Did we just get swept? Spin the wheel. Okay, that did not just happen. We are completely ignoring that. We did not get swept to the LA Kings. I would love to bring Martin Brodeur in, but we can't do that. We already have our 2 goalies. So we can't bring Marty Brodeur to the team, and there's actually a couple other players we can't bring in. Scott Niedermayer is one of them. We already have him on the team, so we're not going to be able to select him here. So who are we going to be looking at? Peter Stastny, I guess you're the highest overall. You're also a centerman, so we can actually go with you. So yeah, Peter Stastny, welcome to the team. I'm pretty sure earlier in the video I called you Paul Stastny, but we're all going to pretend that didn't happen. Peter Stastny, welcome to the team. Now, when it comes to the lines this season, we're just going with what the head coach wants. Last season, I changed them up a little bit. Daniel Sedin, I think I moved you down to the second line. Pierre Forsberg, I put you on the first line. We're not doing that this season. Zdeno Chara, you're also going to play on the third pairing because apparently that's where the coach wants you. I don't think that makes any sense, but that's neither here nor there. This is the team we're rocking. Only 1-0 overall is left here. We have to break the win record, and last season we didn't even crack 50 wins. That's not giving me a lot of confidence. Now, it might have been a big bounce back campaign from the Boise Bandits, but they're still not giving me a lot of hope. Like, the Winnipeg Jets won more games than us. We have some of the greatest players of all time. We were scoring over 4 goals per game, only allowing 2.57. We were the best in both of those categories. However, the Winnipeg Jets won more games. This game just hates me, I guess. It loves the Winnipeg Jets, but it hates me. When it comes to our scoring, it was great. Across the board, everyone was amazing. Glenn Hall and Henrik Lundqvist, they did their things. But Glenn Hall, I do need better numbers from you. Like, look at Henrik Lundqvist. A .935 and a goals against of 2 exactly. I'm going to need numbers like that from you if we want to be breaking the win record. But you know what? We're not worried about breaking the win record right now. We're just looking to get back against the LA Kings. I refuse to get swept to them again. Like, although I do not care about this postseason whatsoever, I just don't want to get swept to the LA Kings. We need to sweep this team. We have to get back against them, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking the LA Kings down the first round. We're moving on to the second, and now we have the Edmonton Oilers. I have no clue why I stopped the simulation. We don't care about what happens here. We got past the LA Kings. We're moving on to the Edmonton Oilers. Can we go 16-0 in the postseason? We're 8-0 so far. I'm not going to lie. This would make up for us not breaking the win record. We are 12-0 heading into the final against the Buffalo Sabres. Y'all better not lose to the Buffalo Sabres of all teams. Perfection. We just saw perfection in the postseason. We swept the Buffalo Sabres. We swept every team. 16-0. We were literally perfect. The fact that we just went 16-0, but we couldn't break the win record makes absolutely no sense. Glenn Hall, 16 wins, 1 shutout, a .919 to .241. But you're telling me we couldn't even win 60 games this season. You're telling me we can go 16-0 in the playoffs, but we can't win the most games during the regular season. That's why this game makes 0 sense. Like, I'm sorry, but in what universe do we go 16-0 in the postseason, but we can't even win 60 games? Like, I feel like those two should kind of go hand in hand a little bit. If you go 16-0 in the playoffs, you're probably winning 60 regular season games. Not the other way around, though, because we've seen a lot of 60-win teams not go 16-0. But if you're going 16-0, you probably should win at least 60 games. We're also landing on the Edmonton Oilers. Now, the Edmonton Oilers alumni is going to be giving us another great player. However, it's actually not the player you're thinking about, because we can't go with Wayne Gretzky because we already have him on the team. But we also can't go with Mark Messier because our last addition was a centerman. Paul Coffey and Chris Pronger, we can't go with either of you guys because we already have loaded up our defensive core. So Yari Curry, you're going to be the next man up as a 92 overall. You're probably going to play some fourth line minutes for me, but if we have 92 overall Yari Curry playing fourth line minutes, I think we're in a really good spot. So we finally completed our team full of NHL legends. When it comes to the forward core, we're only looking at 189 overall. When it comes to the defensive core, we have 288s as our lowest, and then when it comes to our goaltender, Henrik Lundqvist is our backup. So just based on all of that information, you should know this team is going to be breaking the win record. We are going to be absolutely flying this season. Nothing is going to stop us. We are going to dominate every aspect of the game. In before, this team doesn't even win 60 games again. I've seen it before. Alright, so I just have to point out a couple things here. We were first in the entire league and we didn't win 60 games. Just want to point that out. We won 55 games this season. Let's go find the Dallas Stars. 16th in the entire league, a 38, 33, and 11 record. Now, why on earth am I pointing out the Dallas Stars? There is a reason for that. Wayne Gretzky, 90 points. And I'm going to keep it a stack. When I saw us not even win 60 games this season, I decided to simulate the entire postseason. So the Utah Mammoth are going to win the Stanley Cup. I wonder who we lost to. Oh, we lost to the Dallas Stars in 5 games in the first round. We lost in the first round in 5 games to the Dallas Stars. We have a team of all legends on this team. And we lost in 5 games to the Dallas Stars. By the time we win 65 games, we're going to be a first round exit. I can see it all happening. So what do we do moving forward? Well, moving forward, you just pick the best player. We can select whoever we want. We're landing on the Hartford Whalers. That means a player like Gordie Howe is going to be available. Position doesn't matter anymore. Who we selected before doesn't matter anymore. It's best player available moving forward. So it's best player available moving forward. And when it comes to the Hartford Whalers, it's an easy selection. 95 overall, Gordie Howe's going to be joining the team. I think we're going to move a couple guys out of position. Like Jaromir Jagr, I don't want you playing on the second line. I'm going to want you on the first line. So we're going to have Jaromir Jagr on the left wing, Wayne Gretzky at center, and then of course Gordie Howe's going to be playing some right wing minutes for us. Who's going to stop that first line? Now just looking at this Boise Bandits team, you cannot tell me that they aren't better than that Boston Bruins team from a handful of years ago. Like from top to bottom, this team is stacked. 90 overalls and above when it comes to our forward core. When it comes to our defense, we have 288s. These two guys are the lowest overalls on this team. You can't tell me we can't break the win record. There's no way this team can't win at least 66 games. Now we've finally done it. The Boise Bandits, first in the entire league with a 66-13-3 record. We have officially broken the win record by picking up 66 wins this season. However, when it comes to points, I actually think we tied the Boston Bruins just because of overtime losses, but we're not worried about that. 66 wins is breaking the win record, and that's all we're worried about right now. Wayne Gretzky, 124 points. Jaromir Jagr, 119. Brett Hull, 109. He also had 73 goals. Keep in mind, this guy was playing like bottom 6 minutes for us. Gordie Howe, 104 points. So we had 4 100-point scores. And then when it comes to goaltending, absolutely spectacular from Glenn Hall. And then Henrik Lundqvist had a 14-3 record while posting an 894 and a goals against of 3 exactly. Yeah, that just doesn't make sense. But you know what? We're not too worried about it. We broke the win record. Now there's one more thing we have to do. That's win the Stanley Cup. And you know what? It's not going to be easy because in our last season, we lost in 5 games in the first round. So anything can happen here. Like in theory, I feel like we should sweep every team. We should be going 16-0 once again. We're not going to be doing that though because we're going to be dropping game number 4. Can we respond in game 5? Yes, we can. We're moving on to the second round. So unfortunately, we're not going to be going 16-0. But in reality, I don't think there's any team that can really compete with us. Who is going to stop this Boise Bandits team? We dropped game number 4 once again. Why are we always dropping game 4? It doesn't make any sense. But you know what? We're not going to question it too much. We're in the conference finals. We have the Edmonton Oilers up next. This is one of those teams I'm scared about because of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. We're dropping game 1, but we're winning 3 straight games after that. Close out in game number 5. We're in the Stanley Cup final. So here we go. It all comes down to one final series, taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Are the Pittsburgh Penguins going to have an answer for the Boise Bandits? Of course not. We're taking them down to 4-game series. It's going to be a nice sweep to finish it off. And just like that, the Boise Bandits not only broke the win record, but they're also going to be winning the Stanley Cup. You know what? I got to give a massive shout to this team because they did some incredible things in this video. Not only did we just break the win record and win the Stanley Cup in the same season, but earlier in the video, we went 16-0 in the postseason. We were perfection in the postseason. So you know what? I got to give it up to this team. They were absolutely elite. Glenn Hall, 15 wins. Henrik Lundqvist is picking up 1 win. He got a shutout as well, a 908 and a 263. So these numbers aren't that crazy, but we broke the win record. We won a Stanley Cup. We even went 16-0 in the postseason. A lot of incredible things were accomplished in this video, but one of the most impressive things was breaking that win record. But I'm not sure if that's more impressive than going 16-0, because 16-0 in the postseason is something special.